25. Black celebrities who transformed their bodies. Then and now, 2025. In Hollywood and the music world, fame comes with a hidden cost, and for many black celebrities that cost was their own bodies. From dramatic weight loss sparked by life-threatening illness to grueling battles against obesity addiction and personal demons, these transformations are more shocking than any movie role. Some emerged stronger than ever, while others left us too soon, their frail bodies telling stories words never could. Are these transformations proof of resilience or a painful reminder of fame's heavy price? Stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and join Legends of Black Excellence as we reveal all 25 journeys. Gabourey Sidibe. Gabourey Sidibe's story is one of the most powerful examples of courage and transformation in Hollywood. Rising to fame with her unforgettable performance in Precious 2009, she quickly became a household name. But as her star rose, so did the concerns about her health. By 2016, Sidibe was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and faced an increased risk of heart disease and stroke. Walking even short distances left her breathless, her legs numb, and her body constantly fatigued. Doctors made it clear if she didn't act, her life could be cut tragically short. Faced with this harsh reality, Sidibe made the life-changing decision to undergo gastric bypass surgery. It wasn't an easy choice, nor was it the quick fix some imagined. The aftermath was brutal. She could no longer eat the way she used to, and every meal became a test of willpower. Rapid weight loss left her with sagging skin and moments of deep insecurity. Yet she refused to let these struggles define her. Instead, she rebuilt her lifestyle from the ground up, cutting out sugar, processed foods, and oils while embracing exercise despite the exhaustion that came with it. Her journey was far from glamorous. There were silent tears, nights of pain, and mornings when giving up seemed easier. But Sidibe fought back against those inner voices. Over time, she lost more than 150 pounds, 68 kilos. But what she gained was even more valuable: freedom from constant fear, the ability to breathe easily, and the joy of walking without pain. Her story isn't just about physical transformation, it's about reclaiming life. When you see Gabourey Sidibe today, do you see a woman who lost weight, or a warrior who refused to surrender to fate? Timbaland. For years, Timbaland was known as the super producer who reshaped hip-hop and R&B with groundbreaking beats. Behind the success, though, was a man quietly spiraling out of control. Fame brought wealth and influence, but also a lifestyle filled with sleepless nights, fast food, and stress. By the early 2010s, his weight had skyrocketed, leaving him constantly fatigued and gasping for breath. At his heaviest, he tipped the scale at nearly 350 pounds, 159 kilos. One terrifying night, he was rushed to the hospital struggling to breathe. Doctors warned him bluntly if he didn't change, he might not live to see his children grow up. That was his turning point. In 2014, Timbaland committed to a radical lifestyle change. He abandoned processed foods, refined sugar, and late-night binge eating. Instead, he adopted a high-protein diet and started an intense workout routine. In the beginning, his muscles ached, hunger gnawed at him, and his body resisted every change. But day after day, he pushed through the discomfort. He ran miles when he wanted to sleep, lifted weights when his body begged for rest, and rewired his mindset. After more than a year of consistency, Timbaland shed nearly 130 pounds, 59 kilos. Beyond the physical, the transformation restored his energy, sharpened his creativity, and gave him clarity he hadn't felt in decades. His rebirth was not just about being lighter, it was about taking back control of his destiny. When you think of Timbaland, now, do you remember the producer defined by excess, or the man who fought his way back from the brink to rewrite his story? Randy Jackson. As one of the original judges on American Idol, Randy Jackson became a household name, famous for his catchphrase, "It's a no for me, dog." But behind the charisma on screen, he was hiding a dangerous truth. His body was collapsing under the weight of poor health choices. By 2003, he weighed over 350 pounds. 159 kilos, struggled with constant exhaustion, and was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Doctors warned him of the risks: kidney failure, blindness, even death. Randy knew that if he didn't take drastic action, his career and his life could end far too soon. That year, he underwent gastric bypass surgery. It was not a magic solution, but the beginning of a grueling battle. Post-surgery, his body was frail, sleep was elusive, and cravings haunted him at night. Each meal became a balancing act between survival and discipline. Determined to succeed, Randy began tracking every calorie, cutting out sugary foods, and exercising daily. There were mornings when he collapsed in the gym, drenched in sweat, and nights when sugar cravings nearly broke him. But each time his blood sugar stabilized, it felt like a victory. Within 2 years, Randy shed over 120 pounds, 54 kilos. More importantly, he learned to control his diabetes and discovered a new sense of pride in perseverance. His transformation wasn't about vanity. It was about reclaiming his life and setting an example for millions watching him on television. So when you look at Randy Jackson's journey, do you see just a celebrity makeover? Or a man who refused to let disease dictate his future? Al Roker. For decades, Al Roker was the smiling face of the Today Show, bringing warmth and humor into millions of homes. Yet behind the camera, his health was reaching a breaking point. By the early 2000s, Roker weighed more than 340 pounds, 154 kilos, and his body was sending constant distress signals: high blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, fatigue, and shortness of breath after just a flight of stairs. In one frightening moment, he nearly collapsed during a live broadcast, a wake-up call he couldn't ignore. In 2002, Roker chose gastric bypass surgery not for vanity, but for survival. The aftermath was grueling. His smaller stomach meant he could barely eat, leaving him weak and drained. Hunger and cravings tested his discipline daily, and weight loss came so fast that it frightened him at times. But instead of surrendering, he doubled down. He embraced a strict, low-carb diet, carefully monitoring each meal, and built a consistent exercise routine. Slowly, his body began to respond. Over time, Roker shed more than 100 pounds, 45 kilos. His breathing improved, energy returned, and the risk of heart disease and stroke began to fade. Beyond the scale, the transformation gave him back confidence and control of his life. When you watch Al Roker today, do you see just a TV host or a man who stared death in the face and fought his way back with courage? Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac was a comedy king, a larger-than-life performer who lit up Hollywood with his sharp wit and fearless delivery. But behind the laughter, he was fighting a silent and devastating battle. In 2006, Bernie was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, a chronic lung disease that inflames the organs and makes breathing increasingly difficult. Over the next 2 years, his once strong physique faded. He lost nearly 45 pounds, 20 kilos, leaving fans shocked at his frail appearance. Despite constant coughing, fatigue, and labored breathing, Bernie refused to show weakness in public. He still performed, smiling on stage while hiding the pain that gnawed at him. Only his closest loved ones knew how much he struggled in private. His weight loss wasn't a choice. It was the cruel hand of illness stripping away his strength. By 2008, his condition worsened, forcing him into hospitalization. In August of that year, at just 50 years old, Bernie Mac passed away, leaving fans and fellow comedians heartbroken. His transformation was not the result of diet or discipline, but a reminder that health is fragile even for the brightest stars. When you remember Bernie Mac, do you see a man weakened by illness, or a legend who proved that true strength is the ability to make the world laugh even through unbearable pain? Kelly Price. At the height of her career in the early 2000s, Kelly Price was celebrated as one of R&B's most powerful voices. But behind the glamour of the stage, her health was crumbling. Years of poor eating habits and relentless touring left her overweight and exhausted. At her heaviest, Kelly weighed nearly 300 pounds, 136 kilos, and even simple movements caused her knees to ache and her chest to tighten. Singing, the very gift that defined her life, became a struggle as she fought to catch her breath between verses. Doctors gave her a stark warning: if she continued on this path, she might not only lose her career, but her life. Staring into the mirror one night, Kelly no longer recognized herself. It wasn't the vibrant artist adored by fans, but a weary woman trapped in her own body. That moment sparked a decision she had to fight back. Her transformation began with radical changes. She cut out sugar junk food and processed meals, embracing vegetables, lean protein, and water. The workouts were brutal. Her body resisted every step, and at times she broke down in tears on the treadmill. But Kelly refused to quit. Over months of grueling effort, she shed more than 100 pounds, 45 kg. She regained her breath, her confidence, and her joy in music. No longer weighed down, she returned to the stage, renewed, singing with clarity and strength. When you think of Kelly Price's journey, do you see just a slimmer figure, or a woman who reclaimed her life and voice from the edge of collapse? Monique, the Oscar-winning comedian and actress, has always been known for her boldness and fearless performances. But offstage, she carried a silent burden: her weight. For years, she lived with the constant exhaustion of carrying nearly 300 pounds, 136 kilograms. Even getting out of bed or walking across the room left her drained. Though she wore her smile proudly inside, she battled fatigue and fear. The turning point came not from Hollywood, but from her family. One evening, looking into her children's eyes, Monique realized she wasn't afraid of losing her beauty. She was terrified of not being there to see them grow. That fear became fuel for change. She immediately overhauled her lifestyle. Carbs and processed foods were eliminated, replaced with vegetables, clean proteins, and water. With the help of a personal trainer, she began daily workouts. The sessions were punishing. Some days she could barely stand after leaving the gym, sweat pouring down her face muscles, trembling from exhaustion. Yet she refused to stop repeating to herself that this was not about a dress size, but survival. In just 4 months, Monique lost over 80 pounds, 36 kgs. But more importantly, she gained energy, freedom, and a new sense of power. She began sharing her progress on social media, not to boast, but to inspire others facing the same struggle. So when you see Monique today, do you see a comedian who slimmed down, or a mother who transformed her life so she could live for the people she loves? Jennifer Hudson. From her breakout on American Idol to her Academy Award-winning role in Dreamgirls, Jennifer Hudson has always embodied talent and determination. Yet after giving birth to her son in 2009, she found herself facing a different kind of challenge: her weight. At her heaviest, Hudson was over 250 pounds, 113 kilos, struggling with back pain, fatigue, and a loss of confidence. The media's constant scrutiny only intensified the pressure, but Jennifer refused to let negativity define her. In 2010, she joined Weight Watchers, but not for vanity. She wanted to reclaim her health and energy. The journey was grueling. Strict meal plans forced her to abandon her favorite comfort foods, and each cake or dessert was a mental battle. Early mornings began with sweat-drenched workouts that left her muscles aching and her spirit drained. Still, she held on to one powerful image: her son, who deserved a healthy and present mother. Over time, Hudson shed more than 80 pounds at her 36 kilograms, but her victory went beyond the scale. She rediscovered her confidence, her dignity, and her ability to stand tall in an industry obsessed with appearances. Today, she sings not just with power, but with the conviction of someone who fought for her life. When you see Jennifer Hudson on stage now, do you see just a slimmer body, or a woman who turned discipline into a legacy of self-love and resilience? Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson, a pop icon whose career has spanned decades, faced her most personal challenge later in life. In 2017, at the age of 50, she gave birth to her first child. While motherhood was a blessing, it also left her with dramatic weight gain, tipping the scale at nearly 250 pounds, 113 calories. Exhaustion and sleepless nights became her new normal, and the physical strain threatened both her health and her confidence. But Janet, known for her discipline and artistry, refused to surrender. With the guidance of her trainer, she committed to a strict regimen dawn workouts filled with cardio and weight training, coupled with a no-sugar, no-carb diet. The process was painful, nights of hunger gnawed at her, and muscles screamed with every rep. Yet she thought of her baby boy and pressed forward, determined to live strong for him. In just 6 months, Janet lost 70 pounds, 32 kilograms. She didn't just return to her pre-baby shape, she came back stronger, energized, and radiant. Her comeback tour proved not only her artistic brilliance, but also her unshakable will. When you look at Janet Jackson's transformation, do you see only the performer or the mother who showed the world that it's never too late to fight back and begin again? Missy Elliott, the groundbreaking queen of hip-hop, has always been a force of creativity. Yet behind the music and the fame, she fought one of the hardest battles of her life, her own health. In the mid-2000s, Missy was diagnosed with Graves' disease, a thyroid disorder that left her exhausted, lightheaded, and battling uncontrollable weight gain. Despite eating carefully, her body betrayed her, leaving her heavier and more fatigued with every passing month. Determined not to let illness steal her career, Missy took charge. She eliminated sugar, starch, and processed foods, turning instead to a clean diet of vegetables, lean protein, and water. But the real struggle was deeper. Her cravings felt like an addiction, and every workout left her muscles screaming. Some mornings she barely had the strength to get out of bed, yet she forced herself to move. Through relentless discipline, she shed more than 70 pounds, 32 kilos. Her body firmed up, her skin glowed, and the constant fatigue faded. More importantly, she regained control over her life and her music. Missy's return wasn't just about weight loss. It was about proving that even when illness tries to dictate your future, resilience can rewrite the script. So when you see Missy Elliott perform today, do you see only the star or a warrior who fought disease and came back stronger than ever? Chrisette Michele, celebrated for her soulful voice, and Grammy-winning performances, faced a different kind of struggle, her own reflection. Over the years, the pressures of touring, emotional stress, and unhealthy eating habits left her feeling trapped in a body she no longer recognized. Her weight climbed above 200 pounds, 91 kilograms, and with it came fatigue, dull skin, and a deep sense of disconnection from herself. One sleepless night became her breaking point. Looking in the mirror, she saw not the radiant artist adored by fans, but a woman weighed down by exhaustion and pain. That night, she made a promise she would reclaim her health and spirit. Chrisette transitioned to a vegan diet, eliminating processed food, dairy, and sugar. The first weeks were brutal. Cravings hit hard. Her energy plummeted, and doubts crept in. Yet she found strength in yoga, using each pose as a way to rebuild her relationship with her body. Slowly, her vitality returned. After months of discipline, she lost more than 60 pounds, 27 kilograms. But the real victory wasn't on the scale, it was in the way she carried herself. Her skin glowed, her energy soared, and she stepped back on stage with a renewed sense of purpose. When you think of Chrisette Michele's transformation, do you see just a slimmer singer or a woman who chose to heal, love herself, and rise again from within? Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul, captivated the world with a voice that could move mountains. Yet behind her legendary presence was a tragic transformation that shocked fans worldwide. In the last years of her life, her body began to change dramatically. Once weighing over 200 pounds, 91 kilograms, Aretha's weight dropped to around 130 pounds, 59 kilograms in less than a year, despite no significant changes to her diet or lifestyle. Audiences gasped when they saw her frail frame at public appearances, her once radiant energy replaced with visible exhaustion. The heartbreaking truth soon emerged. Franklin had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a disease that silently and ruthlessly consumed her health. Each performance became a battle. Stunning gowns that once highlighted her powerful figure now hung loosely on her weakening body. Yet, with immense dignity, she continued to sing, delivering performances that carried even deeper emotion because of the pain she concealed. Her transformation was not the result of choice, but of illness. It served as a stark reminder that even icons are vulnerable to the fragility of life. Despite her struggles, Franklin faced her fate with grace, performing as long as she could before the disease finally claimed her life in August 2018 at the age of 76. When you remember Aretha Franklin, do you see a body weakened by cancer? Or a queen who sang until her very last breath, proving that true power lies in spirit, not appearance? Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, beloved for his portrayal of King T'Challa in Black Panther, was more than a Hollywood star, he was a cultural icon. But behind the red carpets and bright smile, Boseman was waging a private war against colon cancer diagnosed in 2016. For 4 years, he endured surgeries and chemotherapy while continuing to work on blockbuster films like Black Panther: Da 5 Bloods and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. During this time, his physical transformation became undeniable. From a healthy 200 pounds, 90 kgs, his weight plummeted to nearly 145 pounds, 65 kgs. Fans were shocked to see his once muscular frame reduced to a thin and fragile figure in his final public appearances. Yet he never publicly revealed his illness, choosing instead to inspire millions with his resilience. Imagine the strength it took filming action scenes, attending press tours, and delivering speeches while silently enduring grueling treatments. How many of us could smile for the world while privately battling such relentless pain? In August 2020, at just 43 years old, Boseman passed away, leaving fans and the film industry in disbelief. His death revealed the true extent of his sacrifice. While the world saw him as a superhero on screen, he had been fighting like one in real life. Chadwick Boseman's transformation was not about weight loss or image, it was about courage. Do you remember him as a man diminished by disease, or as a warrior who chose to shine until the very end? Charlie Murphy. Charlie Murphy. The older brother of Eddie Murphy, carved out his own legacy as a talented comedian and actor, best known for his unforgettable skits on Chappelle's Show. Behind the laughter, though, he was living with a devastating secret leukemia, a form of blood cancer that slowly robbed him of his strength. By the end of 2015, his body began to change drastically. Once strong and full of energy, he lost nearly 55 pounds, 25 kilos in a matter of months. His once muscular frame gave way to thin arms, sunken cheeks, and a frailty that shocked fans. Chemotherapy treatments pushed his body to the brink. He endured relentless fatigue bouts of nausea and waves of pain that could have broken anyone's spirit. Yet Charlie faced it all with remarkable dignity. Publicly, he refused to complain or show weakness. He continued performing, smiling, and making people laugh even as the illness advanced. In his final appearances, fans noticed how different he looked, with photos circulating online sparking concern and heartbreak. But Charlie never wanted pity. He wanted to keep giving joy no matter the personal cost. In April 2017, at just 57 years old, Charlie Murphy passed away. His transformation was a tragic one, but his courage left an indelible mark on those who loved his comedy and his spirit. When you think of Charlie Murphy, do you see a man consumed by illness, or a warrior who kept making the world laugh even as his own strength faded? Jordin Sparks. Jordin Sparks, the youngest ever winner of American Idol, captured hearts with her powerhouse vocals and radiant energy. But after giving birth in 2018, she faced a personal challenge few expected. Her weight ballooned, leaving her exhausted and battling low self-esteem. Once known for her lively stage presence, she struggled with fatigue, sluggishness, and the pressure of public scrutiny. By 2019, Jordin decided it was time to take control. She embarked on a rigorous fitness journey, beginning with long walks, then pushing herself into high-intensity workouts. The first few months were grueling, aching muscles, endless hunger pangs, and the frustration of slow results. Yet she stayed focused on her goal, not to be thin, but to be healthy and strong for her family. With the support of her trainer and sheer perseverance, Sparks shed 50 pounds 23 kilograms over time. She didn't rely on shortcuts or surgery. Her transformation was earned through sweat and resilience. More importantly, she regained her confidence, her vitality, and her joy in performing. Her story became a message to young women everywhere. Transformation is not about perfection, but about reclaiming your strength and living fully. So when you see Jordin Sparks on stage today, do you see just the singer who slimmed down, or a mother who fought to find herself again and came back stronger than ever? Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish, Hollywood's comedy firecracker, has always been known for her high-energy performances and infectious laugh. But behind the spotlight, years of late nights, chaotic schedules, fast food, and cigarette smoking left her body drained. By 2019, Tiffany found herself heavier than ever, feeling sluggish and struggling to recognize the vibrant woman who once lit up every room. In 2020, she decided to take control with a radical challenge: 30 days of non-stop training. What she didn't expect was how brutal it would be. Every workout brought excruciating muscle pain, and every craving for cigarettes or junk food felt like a war in her mind. At one point, she broke down in tears at the gym, staring at the pile of discarded cigarette packs, wondering if she had the strength to continue. But Tiffany kept pushing. Day after day, she endured, fueled by the vision of a healthier, stronger self. After 3 months, her hard work paid off. She lost nearly 50 pounds, 23 kilos, and more importantly, kicked her long-term smoking habit. Her transformation was not just physical, it was spiritual. Tiffany emerged more confident, disciplined, and in control of her life. When you see Tiffany Haddish today, do you see a celebrity who lost weight, or a fighter who freed herself from the chains of destructive habits? Syleena Johnson. Syleena Johnson, the soulful R&B singer behind hits like I Am Your Woman, had long battled weight fluctuations that left her feeling trapped in a cycle of fatigue and frustration. Years of touring stress and unhealthy eating habits pushed her body to over 230 pounds, 104 kilos, leaving her winded on stage and struggling with self-image. Her turning point came in a deeply personal moment with her sisters. Together, they realized their health was slipping away. The three made a pact to fight back as a family, embracing strict diets and intense daily workouts. The journey was anything but easy. Cravings for old comfort foods returned often, and the workouts left them drained and sore. Yet their sisterhood became their strength, each one motivating the other to press forward. Within 3 months, Syleena shed 50 pounds, 23 kilos, while the sisters together lost over 125 pounds, 57 kilos. The transformation was not only physical, it restored their energy, confidence, and faith in themselves. Her story is a testament to the power of love, discipline, and community. So when you listen to Syleena Johnson's music today, do you hear only her voice? Or the strength of a woman who proved that with unity and willpower, even the heaviest burdens can be lifted? Stuart Scott. Stuart Scott, the legendary ESPN anchor, was more than just a sports broadcaster. He was a cultural icon who brought energy, slang, and authenticity into America's living rooms. But behind the booming voice and catchphrases like Booyah Stewart was fighting a battle that few knew. In 2007, he was diagnosed with appendiceal cancer, a rare and aggressive disease that began to strip away his once vibrant health. Over the next 8 years, he endured countless chemotherapy sessions and multiple surgeries. His strong, athletic frame thinned drastically. He lost between 35 to 45 pounds, 16 to 20 kilos, yet he never let cancer define him. Even as his body weakened, Stewart continued broadcasting, still cracking jokes, still bringing life to every highlight reel. His resilience stunned colleagues and inspired fans. In 2014, when he received the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance at the ESPYs, he gave one of the most powerful speeches in sports history. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live. Those words captured the essence of his transformation, not as a victim of illness, but as a warrior of life. When you remember Stuart Scott, do you see a man consumed by disease or a hero who showed us that true victory is measured not in years lived, but in how bravely you live them? Fantasia Barrino. Fantasia Barrino, the powerhouse vocalist who won American Idol in 2004, became an instant star with her soulful performances. Yet fame brought intense pressure, and over time she found herself struggling with weight gain fatigue and a fading sense of confidence. At her heaviest, Fantasia weighed nearly 230 pounds, 104 kilos, and the toll on her body and spirit was undeniable. By her mid-30s, she knew she had to make a change. Fantasia embarked on a rigorous weight loss journey, cutting out sugar and starch and committing to long, grueling workouts. The process was brutal. Early mornings left her drenched in sweat, cravings gnawed at her resolve, and there were moments she wanted to quit. But she refused to let her health slip away. After just a few months of dedication, she dropped nearly 50 pounds, 23 kilos. More than the physical transformation, Fantasia rediscovered her energy and stage presence. When she returned to perform, her voice soared higher, her movements flowed with new vitality, and she radiated confidence once again. Her journey was proof that transformation is not about chasing perfection, it's about reclaiming the power to live fully. So when you see Fantasia Barrino on stage now, do you see just a slimmer singer or a woman reborn who fought her way back to health and proved that resilience sings louder than fame? 50 Cent. Curtis Jackson. Curtis. 50 Cent. Jackson. One of hip-hop's most successful artists, shocked the world in 2011 with a transformation that many thought was impossible. Known for his muscular physique and street-tough image, 50 Cent suddenly appeared almost unrecognizable. Thin, frail, and nearly 50 pounds, 23 kilos lighter. Fans were stunned, rumors swirled, but the truth soon came out. His shocking weight loss was for his starring role in the film All Things Fall Apart, where he played a college football player battling cancer. To embody the role, 50 Cent committed to an extreme regimen. He followed a liquid diet of water juice and protein shakes while running up to 10 kilometers daily to burn fat. His once chiseled muscles disappeared, his face hollowed, and his energy plummeted. At one point, he admitted he barely recognized himself in the mirror. This transformation wasn't about vanity, it was about artistic dedication. But the consequences were serious. His health deteriorated, his sleep suffered, and rebuilding his body afterward was a long and painful process. Yet 50 Cent has often said he had no regrets. For him, the role was about proving his craft and pushing boundaries. Would you have the courage to risk your health and comfort for art the way 50 Cent did, knowing the toll it could take on your body? Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson, beloved for his roles in Blackish and countless comedies, faced a challenge that had nothing to do with Hollywood scripts. In 2001, at just 31 years old, he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. At over 270 pounds, 122 kilos, his lifestyle, fast food, long workdays. Little exercise had caught up with him. The diagnosis was a wake-up call. If he didn't change, he risked kidney failure, heart complications, or worse. Anderson took the warning seriously. He revamped his diet, cutting out refined carbs and sugar, focusing on lean proteins, vegetables, and controlled portions. Exercise, once an afterthought, became a daily routine with cardio sessions and strength training reshaping his body. It wasn't easy. Hunger pangs, exhaustion, and moments of frustration tested his willpower. But Anderson persisted, motivated by his family and his desire to live a long, healthy life. Within a year, he lost around 47 pounds, 21 kilos, and gained control over his diabetes. Beyond the physical changes, he found new confidence and a deeper appreciation for his health. Today, Anderson is not only slimmer, but also an outspoken advocate for diabetes awareness, inspiring others to take charge of their health before it's too late. So when you look at Anthony Anderson's journey, do you see just a comedian who slimmed down or a man who turned a deadly diagnosis into a story of hope and discipline? DMX Earl Simmons. Despite his struggles, DMX never stopped giving his all in performances, pouring his pain into music that still resonates. Tragically, in April 2021, he suffered a fatal heart attack linked to a drug overdose, passing away at just 50 years old. His transformation, though devastating, is a reminder that addiction is a disease, not a weakness, and even legends can fall to it. When you listen to DMX today, do you hear just a troubled artist or a man who bared his scars so the world could understand pain and resilience? T-Boz, Tyon Watkins. Tyon T-Boz. Watkins, the soulful voice of TLC, became an icon of the 1990s with hits like Waterfalls and No Scrubs. But while fans saw her as strong and radiant, she was fighting a lifelong battle with sickle cell anemia, a genetic blood disorder that causes chronic pain and weakness. Since her teenage years, T-Boz endured unpredictable flare-ups that left her bedridden, hospitalized, and at times dangerously underweight. During her worst episodes, she lost up to 20 pounds, 9 kilos in a short span, her frame growing visibly thinner, her energy drained. Concerts, tours, and video shoots became battles between her passion for music and the limitations of her body. Fans often didn't realize that behind her iconic performances were moments of collapse and blood transfusions just to keep her going. What would you do if your biggest passion also pushed your body to the edge? In 2009, she underwent brain surgery to remove a tumor, a complication tied to her condition, adding another layer of struggle to her already difficult health journey. Yet T-Boz never let illness silence her. Instead, she became a fierce advocate, raising awareness for sickle cell anemia and inspiring countless fans with her resilience. Her transformation was not about losing or gaining weight. It was about survival grit and redefining strength. Even today, every time she steps on stage, it is a triumph over pain. When you see T-Boz perform, do you see an artist limited by illness, or a warrior who has turned every battle into music that heals others? Star Jones. Star Jones, once a household name on The View, lived years in the public eye while silently battling a health crisis. By the early 2000s, her weight had soared beyond 300 pounds, 136 kilograms, and she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and early signs of heart failure. Everyday tasks became exhausting. Walking short distances left her gasping for air, and even standing in heels felt like a battle against her own body. In 2003, faced with the risk of sudden death, she made a life-altering decision: gastric bypass surgery. But the procedure was only the beginning of a long and grueling journey. In the months that followed, Star lost nearly 160 pounds, 73 kilos. While her body slimmed quickly, the side effects were punishing: hair loss, brittle nails, sagging skin, and moments of dizziness so severe she could barely stand. Would you have the strength to rebuild your life when even your reflection in the mirror feels like a stranger? Star refused to let the struggle defeat her. She rebuilt her lifestyle from scratch. Low sugar, no processed food, strict hydration, and relentless exercise. With time, she not only stabilized her health, but also regained her confidence and voice. Her story became a beacon of hope, proving that it's never too late to fight back against illness. When you think of Star Jones today, do you see just a television personality, or a woman who clawed her way back from the brink of death with sheer willpower? Oprah Winfrey. Few names carry as much power as Oprah Winfrey, the queen of television, and one of the most influential women in the world. But for decades, Oprah's greatest battle wasn't with ratings or fame, it was with her weight. At different points in her career, her weight swung between 160 pounds, 72 kilos, and over 230 pounds, 104 kilos, making her body the subject of endless tabloid headlines. Unlike many celebrities, Oprah's struggle wasn't rooted only in health. It was also psychological. She admitted that emotional eating stress and the pressure of perfection often drove her relationship with food. She tried countless diets, liquid cleanses, fasting, intense workout regimens, and at times even lost 40-50 pounds, 18 to 20 kg. But weight fluctuations always followed, bringing self-doubt and public scrutiny. How would you handle the pressure if every pound you gained or lost was judged by millions of strangers? In recent years, Oprah has taken a more holistic approach. As a major shareholder in Weight Watchers, she promoted mindful eating balance and sustainable habits. She also emphasized meditation, walking, and emotional self-care. The result wasn't just weight loss, it was peace of mind. Today, she maintains a healthier weight and openly talks about self-love, turning her decades-long battle into a source of empowerment for millions. When you look at Oprah's transformation, do you see a number on a scale or a woman who taught the world that true strength comes from loving yourself no matter the obstacles? These 25 powerful stories prove that transformation goes far beyond before and after photos. It is about survival, discipline, and the courage to rewrite your destiny. Some stars fought disease, others fought addiction, and many battled their own insecurities. But each showed that resilience can change everything. Now here's the real question for you. Do you believe these transformations should be celebrated as personal victories or criticized as the price of fame's relentless pressure? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us here on Legends of Black Excellence for more untold journeys.